What if I told you there's a town in California where people live, on average, 10 years longer than the rest of us? And what if I told you it's not by accident, but by choice? This isn't some isolated, ancient village on a remote mountain, shielded from the modern world. This is Loma Linda, a bustling city of about 25,000 people in Southern California. It's surrounded by freeways, traffic, and all the usual markers of fast-paced American life. And yet, against all odds, it holds the remarkable title of the only official blue zone in the entire United States. Blue zones are these incredibly rare pockets of the world where people seem to have found the fountain of youth, where reaching 100 isn't a shocking anomaly. We often think of places like Okinawa in Japan, or the mountains of Sardinia, Italy. But what makes Loma Linda so profoundly inspiring is that it's right here, in our backyard. It proves, undeniably, that you don't need to live on a secluded island or be cut off from society to unlock a longer, healthier, and more vibrant life. For decades, scientists, doctors, and researchers have been fascinated by this community, trying to bottle their secret sauce for longevity. Much of what we now know comes from the groundbreaking Adventist Health Studies. These studies, which began tracking thousands of Loma Linda residents way back in the 1950 seconds, represent a goldmine of data. It's a living laboratory that reveals, with stunning clarity, what sets this community apart. The results are staggering. On average, Adventist men in Loma Linda live about 7 to 9 years longer than other American men, and the women live about 4 to 6 years longer. And for those who are most committed to the community's unique lifestyle, that number skyrockets to a full decade of extra life, 10 more years. So, what are they doing? It's not some magic pill or an expensive, complicated routine that's impossible to follow. It's a series of simple, interconnected habits that anyone can learn from. They've essentially unlocked 3 secrets, all backed by decades of science, that you can use to add years to your life and life to your years. And the first one starts right where you'd expect, with what's on your plate. Number 1. The first secret: a diet built on life. The entire foundation of longevity in Loma Linda is a diet that looks almost nothing like the standard American way of eating. For a large portion of the community, who are members of the Seventh-day Adventist faith, this isn't just about nutrition. It's a spiritual practice. They see their bodies as a precious gift, and their diet reflects that deep respect. They pull their eating principles from biblical ideals, which they interpret as a clear call to eat a diet of plants, fruits, grains, and vegetables, the original garden diet. The result is a lifestyle that is predominantly and powerfully plant-based. Step into a typical kitchen in Loma Linda, and the contrast to the rest of America is immediate. You're not going to find it packed with hyper-processed foods, sugary snacks, or a freezer overflowing with red meat. Instead, you'll see countertops graced with bowls of fresh fruit, pantries stocked with whole grains and legumes, and refrigerators full of fresh vegetables. Meat is a rare sight, and for many, it's completely off the menu. This isn't about deprivation, it's a celebration of whole foods. The Adventist Health Studies have shown over and over, in study after study, that this way of eating is directly tied to lower rates of the big killers: cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. In fact, one major analysis found that vegetarians within the group had a 12% lower risk of death from all causes compared to their meat-eating neighbors. But it's not just about what they don't eat. It's also about what they actively and intentionally add to their plates. Let's talk about nuts. People in Loma Linda snack on them constantly, and this simple habit is a longevity powerhouse. While some early, remarkable findings from the Adventist studies suggested a heart attack risk reduction of up to 50%, more recent and broader analyses consistently confirm that eating nuts regularly is associated with a major drop in cardiovascular disease risk, often in the 20–40% range. It's such an easy switch. Instead of a bag of chips full of empty calories, they grab a handful of nutrient-dense almonds or walnuts. Their diet is also brimming with other protective foods that work in synergy. For instance, some Adventist Health Study data has suggested a strong link between a high intake of tomatoes and a lower risk of prostate cancer for men. One specific analysis even linked daily soy milk consumption to a dramatically lower risk, as much as 70% for the same cancer. While these are observational findings and might not apply to everyone, the overall pattern is hard to ignore. A diet rich in a variety of plants is a protective one. They also tend to choose hearty, whole-grain bread over refined white bread, and they prioritize hydration. One of the most fascinating studies to come out of their community suggested that drinking 5 or 6 glasses of water a day could slash the risk of a fatal heart attack, especially when compared to those who drank much less. There's also a profound philosophy around how much they eat. Many in Loma Linda live by the old wise saying, "Eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper." Their largest meal is often earlier in the day, giving their bodies ample time to digest and use that energy. This is followed by a light, early dinner, or for some, no dinner at all. This practice prevents the body from being flooded with calories right when it's winding down and least active, which seems to improve sleep quality and is crucial for maintaining a healthy weight. This discipline, paired with a diet naturally low in junk food, means the population has a much healthier average body mass index. Finally, there are the things they flat out avoid, as a matter of principle. The Adventist faith advises against alcohol and smoking, 2 habits that are unequivocally linked to chronic disease and a shorter life. By simply cutting those 2 things out of their lives, they dodge 2 of the biggest bullets that take years off the lives of millions of other Americans. When you put it all together, the plants, the nuts, the water, the meal timing, and the avoidance of harmful substances, you don't just get a diet. You get a powerful, life-sustaining recipe for a long, well-lived life. Number 2. The second secret: the rhythm of natural movement. In our modern world, we tend to treat exercise like a punishment. It's an appointment we dread, a chore we have to schedule, an hour we have to crush at the gym to atone for our dietary sins. In Loma Linda, the entire mindset is completely different, and it's their second great secret. They lead lives filled with constant, natural, and often joyful movement. It's not about grueling, high-intensity workouts. It's about weaving activity into the very fabric of the day, so that it just happens. You are far more likely to see a 90-year-old resident happily tending to their garden or taking a brisk walk through the neighborhood than you are to see them in a spin class, though they have those too. And they're full of remarkably active seniors. The Adventist Health Survey found that you don't need to be a marathon runner to reap the extraordinary benefits of longevity. Simple, consistent, low-intensity movement, like a daily walk, is incredibly powerful for cutting the risk of heart disease and some cancers. It's the consistency that matters, not the intensity. Think about someone like Marge Jetton, a celebrated Loma Linda local who lived to be 106 years old. Well into her later years, she would start her morning by riding a stationary bike for 6 to 8 miles every single day, except on her day of rest. Or consider a resident like Tom Sawyer, who at 75 years old begins his day not with a coffee, but with a vigorous 6-mile hike in the nearby hills. These aren't elite, superhuman athletes. They are regular people who have made movement a non-negotiable and enjoyable part of life. The town itself seems to be a partner in this endeavor, with plenty of accessible parks, beautiful walking trails, and a culture that encourages being outdoors. The environment itself nudges people to get up and get moving. It's a place designed for people, not just for cars. All this gentle, constant activity adds up in a big way. It's a key reason they're able to maintain that healthy BMI we talked about. A whole food, plant-based diet plus regular, enjoyable movement is a powerful 1-2 punch against obesity, which is a primary driver of so many chronic illnesses. By keeping their bodies in motion, they hold onto precious muscle mass, maintain bone density, and preserve their cardiovascular health deep into old age. This keeps them independent, capable, and active, helping them avoid the slow, downward spiral of health problems that so often begins with a sedentary life. This entire approach just feels so much more sustainable and, frankly, more human than forcing yourself into a workout you hate. It's about finding pleasure in moving your body. For some, that's the satisfaction of gardening and eating what you grow. For others, it's the simple joy of walking with a friend, an activity that brilliantly mixes physical exercise with essential social time. This philosophy completely reframes exercise, transforming it from a penalty for what you ate into a celebration of what your body can do day after day. The science on this could not be clearer. A sedentary life is a shorter life. The residents of Loma Linda have understood this instinctively for generations. They don't have to make time for exercise, because exercise is simply part of their time. It's built in, and it's one of the most powerful and universally accessible longevity tools they possess. Number 3. The third secret. The Unbreakable community. Okay, so a healthy diet and regular exercise. You probably could have guessed those would be on the list. But if you think that's all there is to it, you are missing the most profound and powerful piece of the entire puzzle. The third, and arguably most important, secret of Loma Linda is the extraordinary strength of their community and their deep, shared sense of purpose. This isn't just a city of healthy individuals living side by side. It's a social fabric woven so tightly that it acts as a powerful, collective shield against the anxiety and stress of modern life. At the very center of it all is their shared faith. For most of the community, as Seventh-day Adventists, health isn't just a personal goal, it's a spiritual one. This creates what researchers call a network of like-minded friends, and its effect is transformative. Imagine trying to eat healthy when all your friends want to go out for burgers and beers. It's an uphill battle against social friction. Now, instead, imagine going to a potluck where every single dish is not only healthy, but also delicious, or belonging to a social circle where nobody drinks or smokes. In Loma Linda, the peer pressure is overwhelmingly positive, making it almost effortless to stick with the very habits that lead to a long life. A huge part of their community life, and a pillar of their well-being, is the Sabbath. From sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday, they pause. This is so much more than just a day off from work. It is a 24-hour sanctuary. It is a sacred time dedicated to faith, to family, and to connecting with nature, completely disconnected from the relentless buzz of work, emails, deadlines, and digital noise. This regular, built-in restorative rest is a powerful antidote to the chronic stress that physically wears down the bodies of so many of us. Just imagine for a moment what would happen to your stress levels if you had a mandatory, sacred 24-hour break from all of it, every single week. This social connection runs incredibly deep. Families are often very close, but that sense of family extends to the whole community. They show up for each other, for church services, for potlucks, and for volunteer projects. Giving back is a core, active part of their lifestyle. Many residents find a deep sense of purpose in serving others, which continues long after they've retired from their careers. This actively fights off the modern epidemic of loneliness, which cutting-edge research now shows can be as damaging to your long-term health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. In Loma Linda, community isn't just a social benefit, it is a powerful form of preventive medicine. This sense of purpose, what Blue Zone's researcher Dan Buettner famously calls your why, is the very reason you get up in the morning. For the people of Loma Linda, that purpose is often beautifully intertwined with their faith, their family, and their service to others. It gives them a profound resilience that helps them navigate life's inevitable challenges with grace. When you combine these three things, a supportive social network that makes healthy choices easy, a sacred rhythm of rest that melts away stress, and a strong sense of purpose that gives life meaning, you create an environment that is profoundly good for human health. It lowers stress hormones like cortisol, reduces inflammation, and boosts overall well-being. The people of Loma Linda show us, in living color, that we aren't meant to do life alone. We are biologically wired for connection, and their unbreakable community is the invisible glue holding their long, healthy, and happy lives together. So there you have it. The three profound, yet surprisingly simple secrets from America's only blue zone. First, they fuel their bodies with a life-giving, plant-heavy diet, and intentionally avoid things like smoking and alcohol that shorten life. Second, they embrace a lifestyle of natural, consistent movement, finding joy in activities like walking and gardening instead of punishing themselves at the gym. And third, they build an unbreakable community around shared values, a sacred weekly rest, and a deep sense of purpose that keeps them connected and engaged in life. The most incredible thing about these secrets is that none of them are out of reach. You don't have to move to Loma Linda or change your entire life overnight. It's about making small, consistent, and intentional choices. Maybe it starts with adding a handful of nuts to your routine instead of chips. Maybe it's committing to a brisk walk with a friend after dinner a few times a week. Maybe it's trying one new plant-based meal, or finding a small way to volunteer in your own community to feel more connected. The research conducted in Loma Linda for over 60 years gives us a clear and hopeful blueprint. 5 key behaviors: not smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, moving your body regularly, eating a plant-rich diet, and snacking on nuts can add up to 10 extra years to your life. 10 more years. That isn't a matter of luck or chance. It's a matter of choice. The people of Loma Linda are the living, breathing proof of what is possible when a community decides to put health, faith, and each other first. They show us that a longer, healthier, and happier life is absolutely within our grasp. If you found this trip to Loma Linda as inspiring as I did, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're always digging into the science and wisdom of living a better, longer life. And now, I have a question for you. Of these 3 secrets, diet, movement, and community, which one do you think would be the easiest for you to start incorporating into your life? And which one feels like the biggest challenge? Let me know in the comments below. I read them all, and I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching,